There's also rules for solo play, but all of that I'll leave for you to discover on your own.
Wait! Don't you know it's dangerous to go alone? Instead, let's discover the solo mode to Dungeons, Dice, and Danger together, here at the Table for One. You know the legends by heart. The dungeons of the realm overflow with treasures. Adventure and glory beckons, but rumors of monsters have held you back. But no more. Today on the Table for One, we are playing Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, designed by Richard Garfield and published by Ravensburger, who helped sponsor this episode. If you don't know how to play Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, you can of course watch Rodney's rules video, which is linked in the description below. I'll be going over the solo mode of the game while we play today. So gather your courage, dive into the deepest, darkest recesses of the kingdom. Let's see if victory is within our reach. Wish me luck. So Dungeons, Dice, and Danger comes with 4 different maps you can play with. There's Annoyed Animals, Clumsy Cultists, Puzzled Pyramid, and Defiant Dinosaurs. And each one has spaces that are specific to each map that might trigger different actions or give you different rewards. Today, we're going to be playing with Clumsy Cultists, and I'll be going over what all the spaces on the map mean while we play. So in Clumsy Cultists, we have a few spaces that are different from the Annoyed Animals, which is the map that Rodney goes over in his How to Play video. We of course have our treasure boxes. Those are the same. We have the same rewards we can unlock with those treasure boxes. The monsters we'll be fighting today are the Sickly Spectre, the Forlorn Phantom, the Necromancer, the Pastrymancer, the Ghastly Warden of Doom, Sirfish the Rank. And the boss for this map is Derek, the Observer, the one gross eye. In order to damage Derek the Observer, we're going to need to mark off 10, 8, or 5 here to be able to unlock those numbers to be able to deal damage to him. One of the achievements we can get in the Clumsy Cultist realm has to do with Pastrymancer and Necromancer. If we kill both of them, we'll earn 3 gems. Now in a multiplayer game, the first person to do it would earn 3, and then everyone else after them would just get 1. But in a solo mode, you always get the top reward for anything you do. So if we manage to achieve that, we'll get 3 gems. We also have achievements with these rubble spaces. If we mark off 6 rubble spaces, we'll get 3 gems. So how do you mark off the rubble spaces? You'll see here they have 2 boxes, almost like our damage boxes in our monsters. We have to mark off both of these to have cleared the rubble and be able to move through that room. So I need to use a value of 9 twice to clear the rubble in this room to be able to move through it to get to this 12 gem. When we earn these gems, of course, we mark them off in these boxes, and at the end of the game, those are worth 3 points each. We also have treasure spaces in this map, and if we mark off those rooms, we get to mark them here, and each treasure box we mark off is going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game. So one of the main differences in the solo mode versus the multiplayer mode is our damage track. The damage track functions more like a timer in the solo mode. If we ever mark off every value on the damage track, we die, that's the end of the game. Time to count up our points. We can also end the game, of course, if we've defeated every monster on the map. If we ever have a turn in the game where we do not deal damage to a monster, we mark off a space on this damage track. So that's how that's different in the solo mode. In the multiplayer mode, if you don't use both values of dice on a turn, then you mark off a damage. But in the solo mode, even if you've used both values of your dice, if you haven't dealt damage to a monster that turn, you're marking off a space on your damage track. So we need to ABC, always be combating. The other difference with this damage track in the solo mode is in the multiplayer mode, wherever you end up here, let's say I've marked off all of these spaces, all I have left at the end of the game is here, minus 16 is showing. I would have to deduct 16 points from my score in the multiplayer version. But in the solo mode, like I said, this functions more like a timer for the game, so we won't actually be deducting any points from our score in the solo mode. So we won't be using this box at all, which is nice. The one other main difference in the solo mode versus the multiplayer mode is the black die here. Now in the multiplayer mode, whoever is the active player has the option to use this black dice to create their 2 values to mark off on their map. But in the solo mode, we are always the passive player. We are never considered the active player. We'll still roll this black die, but we never get to automatically use it. In order to use the value on the black die in the solo mode, you have to spend one of your 3 slots to do it. Now, of course, you can get 3 extra slots by unlocking a treasure box. By unlocking a treasure chest. Treasure box. So we could possibly have 6 times to use the black dice, but that's it. And those are the main differences for the solo mode versus the multiplayer mode and the new things on this map versus the annoyed animals, which again, Rodney went over in his how to play video. So with that being said, I think we just dive in and we start rolling the dice. Now, some of you have been very concerned about my dice rolling and whether or not the dice will stay on the table. So I have brought out a dice tray for today. So I hope you're happy. Oops. I've already messed it up. All right, first roll of the game. Classic. Look at all these doubles. So I rolled a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 3. And if I want it, a black die of 1. But again, I'd have to cross off one of these to be able to use it. So let's try not to. We shouldn't need to right now at the start of the game. So let's see. I can make a 3, a 6, a 4, or a 5 out of this. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to pair these 2 together to make a 4 and these 2 together to make a 5. And I'm going to mark off the 4 here. I have to, of course, start in one of these green spaces. I can always mark off a green space, remember, even if it isn't adjacent to a room I've already marked off. The green spaces are always available to you. And then I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to mark off this green space. So now I have some flexibility on which side of the map I'm able to access. Also, it puts me right next to this treasure spot, which I really like. Okay. Oh, but you know what we did not do? We didn't damage a monster this turn. First turn, we haven't damaged anything. So we immediately mark off a space on our damage track. One other thing to note in the solo mode that's different from the multiplayer is that you don't have to use both pairs of your dice. As long as you have done damage to a monster that turn, you can forfeit the second pair and not have to take damage on the damage track. So as long as we damage a monster, we can get away with not using both pairs of dice. So in the solo mode, the ultimate thing, again, always be combating. Victory is for combaters. All right, next one. We really should try and do some damage to something this turn if we can. That is important. Well, I can make a 6 out of these 2. Oh, and then a 6. Oh, I can have 2 6s here. If I combine the 4 and the 2 and the 1 and the 5, I can mark off this space and then deal a damage to the necromancer, which I think is what I'm going to do so we don't have to mark off another spot on our damage track. So because we have activated this gray box outside of the necromancer room, we now have access to the number 6 as a way to deal damage to the necromancer. So we'll use our second 6 and deal 1 damage. All right, so 2 3s, a black 5, a 4 and a 6. Now we could make a 10 out of this and get this treasure. And then do a 6, again, to deal another damage to the necromancer. I do like that. We're just going to do that. So I'm going to make a 10 out of the 4 and the 6. We're going to mark this off, which then means I get to mark a treasure box off. That'll be worth 2 points at the end. And then the 3 and the 3 for another 6 to deal another damage to the necromancer, which saves me from having to mark off a space on the damage track. Haven't used a black die yet, but it's also only been like 3 turns, so. I tell you what, every time I play this game, I roll a bunch of doubles. 2 4s, a 3 and a 1, and then I have a black 5 again. Oh, you know what I would like to do? I'm going to use these 2 4s as doubles to get into this room. Now remember, whenever you have this symbol in one of these rooms, you don't have to roll a specific value to access it, but you do have to roll doubles. So I'm going to use my double 4s to get into this room, which then gives me access to the sickly specter, who can take damage on a 4. Well, what's my other number here? A 3 and a 1, that's 4. So I will do damage to the sickly specter. Yes! Doubles again. Well, I have an option of 12 and 4, or 7 and 9, or if I use the 2, of course, I could get an 8 or a 3 or a 5. I'll use these 2 6s to mark off this 12, start to open up a path over to this treasure box. Then I'm going to use the 3 and the 1 to make a 4 to deal another damage to the sickly specter. Oh my gosh. I have a dice curse. What the heck? What? I just rolled 4 2s. So I guess our option is a 4. We got a bunch of 4s. We might have to use our black die this turn. Okay, let's see. I mean, here's the thing. We can kill the sickly specter with 2 4s. Or we do a 4 and a 7. Is there a 7 that would be good to unlock? Let's look at that quickly first. I could also use one of the 4s to start clearing out some rubble here, which will open up some treasure options for me. I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so 1 4 is going to be used to deal damage to the sickly specter so that we don't have to take any damage on our damage track here. The other 4 is going to be used to start clearing rubble out of this space here. Okay, look, we made that work. So we have 5 and 11, or 9 and 7, or 8 and 8. And then, of course, a 6 if we want to mix anything into that. I don't like these numbers very much. These don't help us in a lot of ways. Yeah, they really don't help us much at all, actually. Well, what about the 8s? Okay, we're going to do 8s. So I'm actually going to pair this like this. 3 and 5 for 1 8, and then a 2 and a 6 for the other 8. I'm going to deal the last bit of damage to the sickly specter. So we've now defeated him. We earned 3 gems for that, so I'll mark 3 here. And then the other 8 is going to be used to start clearing rubble in this room right here. Cool. All right, we'll roll some more dice. Doubles. So we have a black 4, 2 5s, a 6, and a 1. So that's a 7 or a 10 or an 11 or a 6. Or a 9, a 10, a 5 if we want to use the black die. I think a 6 is a good idea to deal a damage to the necromancer. So then the question is just, how do we deal with this? Do we want to use the 4 or do we want to have an 11 somewhere? We could use the 11. We could put it here, which gets us 1 away from a treasure chest. I think let's do that. So I'm going to use I'm trying to save up my black dice for when I really need them. So we'll use the 6 to deal a damage to the necromancer. So 1 more damage to do there before we defeat him. And then the 11 will mark off this box right here. Okay. Doubles again. And at least we're not having to do as much math, right? So black 5, 2, 4, 6, 6. So 8 and 10, or 6 and 12, unless we add our 5 in as an option. Now we could do the 8, which helps us clear out the rest of this rubble, and then that leaves us with the 4 and the 6 to make a 10, which opens us up to the Forlorn Phantom. Now the thing about that is we aren't dealing damage to a monster this round, which means we'll have to take a hit on our damage track. But I think that might be the thing we need to do, because I could make a 6 and deal damage to the necromancer. If I do that, what would I do with the 12 or an 11? I mean, not much. I'm going to sacrifice the point on the damage track, which of course isn't actually points because we won't be deducting points at the end of the game, but this is our timer for the game. So the more we fill it up, the faster the game ends. So I'm going to do 8 and 10. So 8 means I've cleared the rubble in this room. So I get to mark off one of these. And then I will use the 10 to come into here, which sets me up for future turns to be able to start dealing damage to the Forlorn Phantom. So a little sacrifice now for hopefully some payoff later. 2s. Double 2s. Because that's how I roll. So we have 7 and 4, or 6 and 5, or we of course have this 5 we could add in. Now, if we do a 4, we could clear out this rubble, and then we'd either have a 7 or a 9 or an 8. I could use the black dice, make this a 9, and deal a damage to the Forlorn Phantom. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use the 4 here to clear out this rubble, which opens us up to some treasure. And I will mark this off. And then I'm going to use my first black dice of the game so that I can deal damage to a monster. I'm going to use that 5 with the 4 to make a 9, which will deal 1 damage right there to the Forlorn Phantom. Okay? 2 6s. In any game where you would want to roll doubles, I would never roll them. It would never happen. This is how a dice curse works. 12 and 7, or 8 and 11. Of course, we have the 4 again. If we do 8 and 11, does the 8 get us anything? The 11 gets us treasure, but the 8, I don't know if there's anything we can really do properly with that 8. Though we could use another black dice and have a 6 and defeat the necromancer. Do we want to use another one so soon? What the heck? Okay, we will use the black dice. Okay, so we're going to make this a 6, which is our last damage to the necromancer. That kills them. We get, oh, look at this though. We earn 2 gems, but we also take a damage. So all of that to avoid damage on the damage track, and we still get it anyway. But we get 2 gems. Here's a secret. Can you see here where I marked the last game? These are double-sided. I played a game on the other side, and you can see where I marked. Right there. Okay, and then the 11 to get this treasure. Because that will be worth 2 points at the end of the game. 1 free black die usage left, and lots of game to go. We need to get a treasure chest. I keep wanting to call it a treasure box. Why? Well, I don't want to call it a treasure box. No doubles. Hey, look at that. Okay. So we've got 7, 7. There's the doubles. 11, 3, 6, 8, or that 4 to mix in. If we do a 7 and a 7, we can activate here and deal a damage to the Pastrymancer. I think that's what I'd like to do. So we're going to do 7 and 7. We'll do 7 here, which activates 7 to be able to deal damage to the Pastrymancer. And then we deal 1 damage with that other 7. I truly don't understand. 12, 8. Those are our options. Hope we can do something with them. I don't, can we even? What in the world? Well, I can use the 12 to mark this off, which could be good. And then I guess I could fill in the 8 here so that I've used both dice, but I'm going to take a damage anyway because I won't be dealing anything to a monster. Guess that's what we have to do. So the 12 and then the 8. We'll just do over here so that we've marked something off. But we didn't damage a monster this turn, so 1 phase closer to the end of the game. 2 5s, and then a pairing that makes a 5, and a 1. So 5 and 10, or 7 and 8, and then of course the 1. I like the idea of using the 5, but if I do that, there's nothing really good to do with the 10. I could make a 6. Does the 6 hurt anything? I could also make a 3 and then an An 8 is no good. We just played an 8 and it was no good. And the 10 is not great either. But the 3, at least, we wouldn't take a damage on the damage track. All right, we're just going to use the last one. That's all our black dice. That's all our free black dice. To make a 3 so that we can deal damage to the Forlorn Phantom. And then I'm going to use this 10. I'm going to mark off this even though it doesn't do a whole lot for me this round. That wasn't the best dice roll. That wasn't my favorite one. 2 5s. A 1, a 2, and a 3. We really need to start moving into here, I think. We need to just open up more paths to other monsters so we have more options. So we can make a 3 or an 8 or a 6 and a 5 or a 4 and a 7. We can't use the black dice right now, so that's not even worth honestly thinking about at the moment. I mean, I could make a 3 and get this treasure chest, but again, then what do I do with the 8? There's just nothing. Okay, if I have a 6 and a 5, then what could I do? Okay, if I have a 6 and a 5, I'm going to start to clear some rubble. That's what I'll do. I'll do the 6 and the 5, and I'm just going to take the damage for not doing combat. So the 5 is going to start to clear this rubble, and the 6 is going to start to clear this rubble, and then we take a damage because we didn't do anything to any monsters. I'm not making this up. This is literally just how I'm rolling. So 1s and 4s. So we have 2 and 8, or 5 and 5, or yeah, that's it. All right. Well, I'm going to clear this rubble because that'll at least give me points with one of the 5s. So we'll mark that off. We've done 3 of them now. And then the other 5, I can't get to this yet because I have to clear this rubble first. So I think the other 5, we'll mark this off because we could start to try and access some gems down here. Rough. Oh, we didn't damage a monster. Oh no. We need treasure. We need treasure bad, I think. It's not even worth commenting on anymore. It's comedic. It's happening so often. So I have 2s and 1s. So I have 4 and 2 or 3 and 3. We're going to do the 3s. I'm going to use this 3 to get this treasure box. And I think instead of the black dice, I think I might get the torch. Because the torch is going to let us either deal damage to a monster on a turn when we really need it, or light up a room that we otherwise haven't been able to explore yet. So I think I'm going to get the torch with this treasure box. And then for the other 3, I'm going to damage the Forlorn Phantom so we don't have to mark one off on our track here. Okay, here's some different numbers. A black 3, which we can't use. A 5, a 4, a 6, a 2. So we have 9 and 8, or 11 and 6, or 7 and 10. We have a lot of options here. The 11 will get me another treasure right here. And the 6 lets me clear rubble, which is going to start to give me access to this. So we'll mark one off on the map. Oh, you know what I could do though? I could use my torch to deal a damage and save us from having to mark one off on the map this turn. So I'm going to do 11, and we're going to mark off this treasure box, and I'm going to get the black dice. So I now have access to 3 more times of using the black dice. And then here's the 6. I'm going to finish off this rubble. I've cleared this room. We now have access to this 5 room, which we can activate to start to deal damage to the ghastly Warden of Doom. I'm going to mark another rubble on my sheet here. And then I'm going to use a torch to deal damage to one monster I'm already connected to. And that is, I'm going to do the Pastrymancer. I know we're just 1 away from the Forlorn Phantom, but that's going to take away an option of damage dealing. And so I think I'd rather plink away at the Pastrymancer and leave us with one other place we can put some damage dice. Okay. There you go. They're back. Double 5s. A 6, which we can now use again. A 2 and a 3. Oh my gosh. There actually I have a lot of options this turn. I could do the 9 and the 7 and mark this off to start getting closer to being able to unlock damage for Derek the Observer. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use one of these dice I just got for the 9 to come down here. And then I will do this for the 7 to deal a damage to the pastrymancer. 2 6s, a 5, a 3, and a 4. So I've got 12 and 7, or 9 and 10, or the 5 I can mix in. If I do that, I have the 11, which isn't bad. 11 and 10, that might be worth using the other black die. Now, I wouldn't be doing damage this turn, though, if I do that. But I have then done some unlocking of Derek the Observer. And I've been rolling a fair number of 10s and haven't been able to use them. Of course, once I do that, I'll stop rolling the 10s, right? Because that's how luck works. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to use another black die that I just got for the 11, which comes down here, which gives me a treasure. So that's worth 2 points. Then I'm going to do the 10 here, which now activates the ability to use a 10 to damage our boss. Oh, but I didn't do any damage this turn. Not that many left. 1, 2, 3. We can mark off on this track 4 more times before the game ends. You can't plan for this kind of shenanigans. 2 3s, 2 6s, and a 4. So I have 9, 9 and 9, or 6 and 12. I'm going to do 9 and 9, actually, because I'm going to do my last damage to the Forlorn Phantom. Get 3 gems for that. 1, 2, 3. And then the other 9, I'm going to work away at this rubble to see if we can get some gems there. But we did do damage, so we don't have to mark anything off on our track. Look at that, all different numbers. That's almost every number represented by the dice. Okay, a 1, a 5, a 2, a 4, and a black 6. So we have 6 and 6, or 7 and 5, or 3 and 9. Or, of course, all the different numbers that 6 could add in to make. So I'm going to put these two together to make a 3 to get some gold. So we have a 9 here, and I'm just going to finish off this rubble. I might be speeding toward the end of the game, but at least I'm picking up points while we're at it. 1 more rubble, we can earn 3 gems, which would be great. Where's another rubble space? I could do this 12. We may not make it happen, or the 7, but we should probably focus on that, right? Oh, I didn't do any damage. So I take damage. Always be combating. 2, 6, 1, 4, 5. So we have a 7, a 9. Oh, 7's good, right? 10, 6, 11, 5. So we're going to use this to make a 5. So we can come in here and open up the possibility of doing some damage to the Ghastly Warden of Doom. And then for my last black die usage of the game, the 5 and the 2 to make 7 so that we can deal a damage. Pastrymancer is almost done. Oh, we should have crossed off our Necromancer here. Okay. That's more like it. 6 and 6. 3, 1, 4. Okay, so 4, 12, 7, 9. We can't do anything with this 4 because we've used all of our black dice. So you know what? I could just do a 4 and a 12. Take damage, but I've gotten a gem. Is that worth it? No, I'm going to deal 7 to the Pastrymancer, which kills them. I get 2 gems, but I take a damage from that combat. But look, I finished this off now, so I get 3 gems. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty good. And then I have a 9, and I tell you what, I don't think I can put the 9. I can place it here, which means I could maybe unlock this 2, but that doesn't matter anymore because I've defeated the Pastrymancer. So who cares? I'm going to stop rolling the black dice because we can't use it anymore. 3, 3, 6, and 5. Not a great turn, y'all. Not a great turn at all. Well, let me see. If I use a torch to open up a room that I'm connected to but haven't been able to access yet, could I then do something good with any of these numbers? That's a question. Or I use a torch to deal a damage to extend the game. So I could use a torch to open up this room here and then use my double 3s to open up this room, which will then make it easier for me to get to this 6 in the future to be able to deal damage to the Ghastly Warden of Doom. And it gives me a closer path. I'm a little bit closer to another option for Derek the Observer. I think we'll do that and hope that we start getting some good rolls and can extend the game a few more turns. So for my last torch, I'm going to light up this room right here, which I can do because it's adjacent to a room I've already been in. Then I'm going to use my doubles to get into here. Now I have an 11 left. I'll just mark this off so that I've marked off 2, but that's not like great for me. Four, 4, 5, and 1. So we have a 5 and a 9, or we have a 6 and an 8. The 5 means I can at least deal a damage to the Ghastly Warden of Doom with my 5. The 9, I don't know if I can place anywhere. Let me look. But that's okay because I've dealt damage this turn, and in the solo mode, I don't need to take a hit on the damage track as long as I've dealt damage. Yeah, I don't think I can put this 9 anywhere, so we won't. It's getting real close to some dire situations. Oh, good. Oh, good. So many options. I'm so happy. two 1s and 2 5s. So we can do 10 and 2, which isn't horrible, actually, or 6 and 6. I'm going to do 6 and 6 because I'm going to mark this 6 off here and then deal a damage with the other 6 here because we've now unlocked this 6 for the Ghastly Warden of Doom. I don't think we're going to make it to Sir Fish the rank, I'll be honest. Okay, that's some progress. Come on, dice, be on my side. 2 3s, a 1, and a 6. So we have 4 and 9, or 6 and 7. I will use the 6 here to do another damage to the Ghastly Warden of Doom. The 7, I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't matter. We can cross off 7s, but they don't really get us anything right now. We can't cross this one off because we are not actually connected to this room. We'll just mark off this 7 so that we've done it. But we're extending the game a little. We're still on our 1 life left to live. Oh, okay, here's some variety. 1, 4, 5, and 2. So we have 5 and 7, or 6 and 6, or 3 and 9. I think I have to do the 6 and the 6, which will kill the Ghastly Warden of Doom, which means I'm going to have a lot less options in terms of dealing damage to extend the game, but it is going to earn me 3 gems. And the game's almost over, and that's just points. Let's just get the points while we can get them. So we're going to do 6 to do 1 damage here, and then another 6 to do another damage here. That kills the Ghastly Warden of Doom, which gets us 3 gems. 3 5s, great, and a 1. 10 and 6, those are our options. I hope they're good. Well, here's the good news, is that the 10 is good for us. The 6, however, isn't. That does nothing for us. The 6 is a garbage roll. Garbage. So the 10 means we'll do 1 damage. Our first damage we've done to Derek the Observer. I'd really like a 4. You know what? I'd like a 4 so I can start to get it over here, but it's just not happening. It's just not happening. Is there anything good to do with the 6? Nope, because we're not connected over here. I'll mark this off for fun. We did do damage though, so that's okay. 3, 3, 2, and 4. Still not a total of 4. We have 5 and 7, or 6 and 6. That's that. So we're going to do the 7 here. Maybe we can get these coins at some point. So that's these 2. And then we have a 5, which can we do anything good with a 5? We cannot access this yet. Anything good with a 5? Wow, it would be really nice to get this last rubble, but I'm realizing I think that's going to be really tricky for us to do. I'm just double checking that there's nothing we can do with this 5. I really think there isn't. That's another 3. 8 and 6. Oh, we didn't do, I think this is it. We marked that off because we didn't do damage last turn. Wow, we did barely any damage to Derek. That's the end of the game. So let's count up our points, y'all. Okay, so again, in the solo mode, we're not going to deduct any points from the damage track because that's just our timer for the game. We're just short of our 3 gems here. We've already marked our 3 gems off here. So all we need to do is count up our points here and here and see what the total is. If we had defeated the boss, we would have earned 6 gems, which would have been great, that's 18 points, and taken 2 damage. If you don't beat the boss, you get 1 point for every 3 boxes you've marked off. Now, we only did 1 damage to Derek, so we're gonna earn nothing for Derek. So here we go. We have 2, 4, 6, 8. And then this is times 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 times 3 is, 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 4 is 48. So 56. Let's see what the game thinks about my score. Oh, hey! That's not so bad. You are a true hero. Look at that. Huh. You know what? I went from being not so impressed to pretty impressed with myself. Yeah, 56. Just barely made it into being a true hero. We were almost not bad, but next time you meet the boss monster, hit harder. And that's Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Table for One. Don't forget to check out the full rules video that Rodney has for Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, which is, again, linked in the description below. If you enjoy playthroughs, you should definitely be checking out our Game Played series hosted by Monique and Naveen, where they go head-to-head over 2-player games. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Share it with a friend who you think might be interested in watching it. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications so that you know when I have a new episode out for you. And until then, thanks for watching.